Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live. It's Monday morning. It's in June. I think it's the 28th. I could have put the wrong date down, but who looks at calendars anymore after 2020, huh? You just go, up the next day. I'm here. It's the next day. Good to have you here. And the toads have arrived. I actually put a tone on my system. That doesn't mean any cotton picking thing. And so here it was. I went back and I looked at all the comments from Saturday's show, and I saw 653 little toad emojis, which I don't think I've even used my first emoji yet. So I'm emojiless. Not emotionalist, emojiless, but I think what it was is everybody was trying to get my attention to just, that, hey, it's quiet on the show. You don't have any music. And yeah, I'm still trying to work all of that out because Facebook and I went a few rounds on some music that I had purchased. And they said, no, this is not your music to use live on the broadcast. And I said, well, it certainly is because I have a contract to use it. And the crazy thing was it was music that was recorded in 1640 something or 1713 or something. Anyway, it was by some person whose name I couldn't pronounce, and it wasn't Dvorak. I can pronounce his, I just can't spell it. Antoine Dvorak, Antonian, or however you want to call him, but it wasn't him. Anyway, what happened was I saw all the emojis come up. Pat just loaded the page there. Pat has one key that will launch 100 emojis at one time, I think, and I don't know what the software is called. It's called PL Brooks Emojiville. Just kidding. Anyway, so I saw all those toads. I went through, and sometimes I can't. I don't know they're coming up. I'll get into painting, and I'll get to thinking of this, and I go, "Oh yeah, there's people out there who are probably trying to ask me a question or say something," and so I forget to look up. But I put a little doop on my computer, so if you hear the pop in my microphone like that, then I go, "Oh, somebody just said happy birthday to somebody else, Michelle." It looks like. So let me say hello to you. And then I'll get moving on with the show. I think it's day 296. I believe that's right. And what that means is not in a row. I only did 100 days in a row, and that was back starting in March of 2020. And then I started painting sporadically 3 or 4 days. And then it was Monday, Tuesday, Saturday with a class on Wednesday sometimes. And just finished our last class. It was called Roo Basics. And so, hey, make sure when you post on the pages of Roodoodles that you post just your artwork or things from this page so people don't go through your laundry list of all sorts of things, okay? So sometimes I'll get a note or there'll be something up there, and so I just take those out. I hope you're not offended by that, but post those on your page. Artwork goes on Roo's Crew, or artwork can go on this page, or artwork can go on yes, on this page, or even on the class pages, which are a private page of Facebook anyway. So if you have the link to that, look at the rules, what you can post, what you can't. Don't link other YouTube pieces on there. It just fills up the page, populates it, and it's hard to find the lessons from people who didn't see it live, who are in other parts of the world, from India to Germany to Australia, even the folks across our border right in Canada. Sometimes they'll come on at different hours, and even some of you people who get up at the crack of before dawn even says hello, way out on the West Coast. So thanks for being on the show live this morning. I'm Michael. And the grandkids, I have the grandkid dog, but I don't have all the grandkids. All the grandkids have gone home, and several of them, 4 of them, are loading up the covered station wagon right now as we speak. I call it the covered station wagon. Think about going west in the covered wagon. They're loading up the covered station wagon. They're going west for a few days. They do it every year. They go to national parks. Those kids have camped at national park. They've camped at the base of El Capitan. It's amazing. Anyway, so fun time with all the grandkids. So let's just get going here. So Trish Brown, thank you for being on the show. First of all, this morning, Donna Sell Barton, thank you. Irma Burton, thank you. I saw your name yesterday on my desk downstairs on the art bar. And it was on a little card that you had sent me. And thank you very much. Patricia Deaton, thanks for being on the show. John Robert Small, blessings to you, my friend, from the mountains of Veracruz. And I love that music you sent me. And, of course, now we're seeing Jason Nichols pop up a little more because he is working, not working in school right now, but working on his art. And if you're keeping up with his art, he's turning some good stuff loose. Susan Peters, Thank you. June Jones, yes. Amy Roche. I like it, RLCAT. Thank you for being on the show. Linda Lawless, Bob Hendrick from the Sly as a Fox. What does the fox say? Remember that old song that came out about 10 or 12 years ago? Maybe more than that. What does the fox say? It's a great song. Swept the country. Y'all of you are going like, no, I don't remember that. Ricky Govars, thank you for being on the show. Ricky, you know I painted on that paper that you sent me, oh my gosh, from the Netherlands on Saturday, and I learned something about that paper. I learned that, man, does it mop up some color, and it'll frame flat, but look at, oh, you can't even see it. I'm so sorry. Here's my desk this morning. What the heck's wrong with me? There it is right there, and there is, whoops. All right, so it's not doing picture in picture. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, hit the wrong one. There's the shot right there. Very, a little softer, because this paper, I think I told you it's like painting on a dish towel, but the color adheres and pops out, but it'll also go through on you. So you might want to have another piece underneath if you're painting it as on your grandmother's veneer tiger oak table. Nah, don't do that. Okay, but I like it. So you see it's got some warbles and foibles and little bends in it, but I'm telling you, man, when you lay a piece of glass on that and get it packed down straight, and this is, I have no idea what is it. It's ASPARASEO. No, I don't know what this is. I'll have to look that word up and see what that is. Okay, so I painted on that paper. Today is, here it is. It's showtime. Okay, so here we go. Hey, laying on my desk this morning is this little, this is a bottle opener, actually, that I forged. I'll run a video sometime and show you how it works. You just hook it across the top of the bottle, and you just go, I did, Grant and I, my son did, and this one hadn't been shined up or polished or anything. It's just right out of the shop, right off the anvil. It's about time for me to blacksmith. And you know what I'm going to do? One of these cool summer days, I'm going to move all this stuff. It'll only take me a day to move it downstairs, and I'm going to roll out my blacksmith shop, and I'm going to crank up the forge. It'll be a little noisy. Can't be more noisy than me. And I'm going to make a couple of these and give them away on the show. I think that would be fun, just a blacksmith. You know, other things are art other than painting, and that's kind of what the whole book was about, and all the sayings, the rules of noodle doodle fiddle piddle. It's all about it's art everywhere. You know, it even says here, this little book is about art, any art. We hope life's view in general. If you just take life's view in general and go, oh no, I got to make these biscuits. Well, noodle it out a little bit. Look at some biscuit recipes, and then doodle around what you want to put in there. And you go like, ooh, you know what I love in my biscuits? No kidding. And I've never seen this in except one recipe in the last 20 years. Cream of tartar. Cream of tartar. And you know where cream of tartar comes from? Look it up, see if I'm right. Off the back of grape leaves. Okay, so I hear some of you popping in here. So how did I get off on this already? I'll talk to more about that in a second. But this is the book. Art should be learned in a simple way. You noodle on the idea and you think it over. You doodle it down, you write it, you fiddle with it till it starts to pick up story and meaning. You piddle a bit more, you sharpen it out, and you send it out to the world. And that's noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle. So Pat did all these marvelous. I think I'm going to share a story out of here today and just show you one that I can't use this one because look how long it is. I just got verbose on a couple of these, okay? So the books are live on Amazon now. You can still order from Pat and I at Etsy. That'll come through this website at roodoodles.com. I think it's a couple bucks more, but I'm paying postage both ways, so that's why that is. You know, when you send out quite a few books and you start going, yeah, well, that's book rate, but it adds on up fast. We have no profit to go out and at least have one dinner before this thing's over. If anybody ever said you get rich doing a book, it ain't happening. But they are fun to have out there. And I showed it to a couple school teachers who love it. And so we'll be doing some marketing for schools to use it in some of their classes. You know, when you just hand kids this and this and say, do some art. And they go, well, that's not enough art. And you go, oh, yes, it is. Sketch something and then paint it with your tea. That would be in a British school, of course. All right, here we go. So Bob, Ricky Govars, Jackie Wallace, Heather Kuhlman, Laura Belushi, Share, I think it's Desjardins. Thank you for being on here. Um, from the West Coast, Denise Albright. Thank you, Fern Skelly. Thank you, Michelle Renee. You notice I'm backwards today. Glenda Edwards Small, Patricia Books. Thank you for being on here always. Dorothy Beasley, Elaine Walker, Chip Fur. Chip Fur is probably, yep, he is. See it right here. From New Jersey this morning, up seeing some family and just north of the big city. And Chip and I stay in touch quite a bit. And was with Chris yesterday. He's loving the Ethiopian coffee, buddy. Whoa, ho, ho. Pauline Bowl, thanks for being on the show. Finally got some rain. Oh, good for you. Jimmy Jensen, Karen Bender, Gene Anthalzer, Barbara Mayer. Look at all these names. I feel like I'm going through a Christmas card list or a wedding reception where I go, I know all those people. They've got to show up. They've been plugging away now for hours and hours and hours we've spent together. So thank you for the community that you've built. Thank you for the Roost Crew community. Thank you for posting. Hey, thank you for sharing Roodoodles. It's time we reached out and grabbed some more folks. Why? Because it helps get the word out. It helps bring other artists in. I have people who are artists. They go, no, I don't want to teach people how to do my art because then what if they become more popular than I? And I'm going like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Aren't we supposed to withhold nothing? That rule comes out in the next book. Deborah Tauber, thanks for being on the show. Kelly Berger, yes, from Houston, or is it Houston? Phil Wilbarger, just kidding. Hey, buddy, muggy New York or Ohio? Yeah, I've been up there. It is muggy in Northwest Ohio. Donna Buckley, Virginia McClure, Barbara Schmidt. Just mailed you your copy finally of Got It All Together in One Place, your Grit magazine and the paintings on its way. Lisa Bryant, thanks for being here. Coffee Doodle Roo, Diane Soho, Linda Linhart, Deborah Spangler, Carol Monday, Cecil Mordock. I should write a thing. Nancy Ellinger, Virginia manager. All right, so here we go. Let me jump on and get painting a little bit. I do see Sabine Rogermeyer from Germany, and it's the 80s there today. Holy smokes. And Karen Bender says, hey, from Australia. And I usually see Sue on the show from Australia. Sharon Clark's here from Idaho. She says it's scorching hot. Yeah, I saw one weather report. I haven't watched the news in weeks, but I heard a weather report on the radio last night as I was running out to pick up some last minute things. Had a great family at our house for dinner last night. That's why this is on the desk, and I'll show you about that and the book in a minute. But let me paint something. We're running out of June, and we're running into July, and so I thought it only fitting and proper that I start with a little piece of a small, just a cartoon sized, and I'm really not a cartoonist, but I'm a whimsical artist. I thought I'd start with a little piece. I'm going to rip this out. This is Kilimanjaro, one of my favorite papers, maybe my most favorite paper. The paper for sure I painted on the longest time. It's 140 pound Kilimanjaro, Joe Miller approved. It's from England. It's really kind of fun. It's 100% pure cotton rag. There's 20 sheets on here. I like the way it's done. It's just, it's great to throw in my my satchel and my art bag. Put all my pieces in my bug out bag, which is still kind of full right now from traveling around this weekend a little bit. Painted 3 things just out and about this weekend. Gave them away. Got a pocket knife in here. Even got my light in here. Look at that, huh? Must have been out in the dark somewhere. And some short brushes. A flare pen is in here. Also my white flare, which are so great. All right, so there's the bug out bag. And I think I only got 2 of these left. I think that's it right now. I will have some more paint printed, and I'm still waiting. I've talked to the art company again, and they are my mugs. This mug is still back ordered. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's paint something. Talked enough already. Good grief. I think this is radio sometimes. I can paint live. Here we go. I think what I want to do is I think I want a little Roo here who's just, this is a small, I think, let's see, what do I think? I don't know. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a bottom line here just for caption and ground. So, and there's going to be 2 or 3 characters in this. So let's see if we can do it right here. Let's put the Roo right here. I'm sketching with an 05 Pentel Intergel. Remember, these are needle point. when I draw a Roo and he's down like this, you can always tell he's got something on his mind. What's he doing? Well, he's generally speaking to the peeps because they're doing something that's probably a little tad unruly, or they hadn't thought about it too well. It's sort of like my childhood. They're going like, well, you think that's a good idea? So there he is right there. So he's just sort of looking. And then we've got this. I always put one on a bucket or an apple box or something. There's a little one on a flower, maybe a flower pot. This looks more like a little bucket. And he's here like so. Little peeps here. And all right, so there he is. He's holding something. You can't really see what it is at that distance. I could probably come in on this just a little bit for you. Let me see if I can just enlarge this just a tad. Zoop. Not now. Let's see if I can get it to focus right here. Let me see if I can get to focus on this pen because it's not finding the line on my paper. No. How about that? So I messed it up after I refocused. This camera sometimes doesn't want to focus correctly. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So that's a little closer. So you can see what I'm doing here just a little bit. All right. So let's see if we get a little bit of classical music going here. Let's just start for something. Antonio Dvorak. There he is right there. All right. So and so then I think maybe I do want a flower pot on this side. See, I just thought of that right then because I said flower pot. There's a little terracotta flower pot right there. And in the flower pot is this 4th of July is coming up, so I thought it was only fitting that we did a rocket. There's a little fuse right there. There's another little peep. It's easy to get these little storytellers inside the drawing, especially when they're tiny like this. You just kind of put them wherever you want to put them. And so he's got a match that's already lit. There it is right there. Maybe you can put a little box of matches here, strike anywhere. There they are right there. If you want to get into detail, here's where you can just have some fun, So you start to see everything sort of come together. So now we've decided that's not a bucket. It's 2 flower pots, which works really well. In fact, let's just put the flower out here on like this. So they've turned them upside down. So that's the first reason they got in trouble, was they turned the plants upside down. Just do some dirt under here like this. So I create little scenes like this that create stories. And there it is. Tell you what got me thinking about rockets. Well, it ought to be real simple. 4th of July is coming up, and I also just love launching rockets. I even put a rocket in the book. Did you notice that? Those of you you haven't noticed because you haven't gotten the books yet, because they're coming in to me here. And some of you who, let's see if there's not a rocket right here. Oh, no, it's in my coloring book. Yeah, that's where I put it. I know I had a rocket somewhere. Where's my rocket? Here it is, right here. It's in the coloring book. There's a rocket. See, I don't have so many places. There's one right there where I think I did 3 rockets. I think I did a rocket where the welder robot, there he is right there, is welding on the platform a little rocket. He's a welder robot. When I learned to make things simple, from repairs to making robots to building rockets, I love welding. And today I use it for art projects, parts art mostly. Okay, I made steel rooster sculpture. He still sits in a coffee shop today. It reminds me that coffee and roosters wake people up. Having a robot welder on the farm makes everything go easier. Design the art, put the pieces together, point and weld. I love to see the sparks. I love to see steel put together. And then I left a little box over here that says, draw the pulleys and the belt drive and draw the small switches. Consider making a list of things you want to do or learn to make. So there's a rocket. And then here's a rooster that's the rocket himself. This is for, of course, photographing the farm. And it's not as noisy as a drone. And then here's the pun. I had to just do a play on words pun. I'm going to let you fly. So there's the little egg rocket that looks like an egg. So all those are in the color book. That's kind of fun. So today I was thinking about this, but I got this video in the mail, and I want to show it to you. Watch this. Ready? Watch this right here. This is from a camp that I used to do a lot of consulting with. My boys grew up at this camp. It's in the mountains of western North Carolina. It's called Camp Rockmont. And here we go. Watch this. They text me this.
This is an unprecedented 4-rocket launch. Now, don't touch anything yet. We've hooked up.
Don't touch anything yet, he says.
Blast off, but don't hit until I say blast off.
That's David Bruce, my good friend right there in the glasses. I built this pad for them and all the switching apparatus.
3, 2, 1, blast. Wow! Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? He says.
Did you see? Watch the wire. Don't trip on the wire.
Watch the wire. It's always watch the wire.
I don't even see any of them.
Absolutely gone. They're completely gone.
They're absolutely out of sight.
Watch the wires, please.
I
Watch the
see
wires.
one.
I don't think I see any of them
The
coming
heck
right
are
now.
they?
They're gone.
Guys, everybody get ready to
They
protect
took
your
off
face.
into the clouds.
All right, there you go. So he sent me that. He said, "Hey man, unprecedented today. Thank you. I built this in 2019, and we took it over and set it up for him. And then 2020 came and shut down there. They used it a little bit that summer. This thing's been stored. They brought it all out, put all the switches together, all the batteries. There are soldering wires in here. There's all these little knobs you turn. There's lights that light up so the kids can see which control they're launching. There's a little tile tripod, or excuse me, not a tripod, but a pentagon-shaped piece of tile, and each one drilled with a little rod that comes up that actually holds the rocket in place so the wind doesn't blow it over. There's little clips that clip the igniting wires on. So all that was fun to build and solder together. To me, it was art. Had them put the sign on there. So I thought, hey, I should draw a rocket today. So here's my rocket drawing. So how fun is that, huh? Love doing that kind of stuff for kids. So they're at camp a couple of weeks and they get to build rockets and then send them off into space. My boys and I built so many rockets that it was crazy. We went to a big event one time that was put on by a couple groups. One was scouting group and one somebody else. This is a true story. I'll tell you while I paint this. They came and we went and everybody had their rockets. They all had their rocket kits and they had everything that they were getting ready to do. And hey, I'm using American Journey paint here, and it's in a little pan. I get it in tubes. I spray it in these. And so everybody had all their rocket kits, and they had most of them put together. So I had a bag, and in the bag, I'd asked the boys to put duct tape, put some wire, put some of our drill batteries and our little other battery used to launch rockets, put some of our quick clip igniter buttons, put some rocket fuses, put some just mostly tape. And so, and our mat knives to cut things with. And so my boys kind of knew what we were going to do, but not completely. So they said, here's team so-and-so. And I can't remember what it was. I wasn't known by Roo then at all. So we all get gathered around and everybody's building their rockets and the judges are coming by and they're saying, which rocket are you building? And kids are telling them all, we're building this. And they asked my boys, they go, we're not sure yet, but we think we're going to do a rocket we call the recycled refuge repurposed. This was before people were even recycling. So I said, all right, we had a team of like 4 guys, my 2 boys and 2 others, and said, go out into every trash can and find something you think is useful and looks like it'll fly. And so they went running out and they brought back mostly Coke cans. I said, well, let's mix them up in colors. They found a Sprite can, a Mountain Dew can, a Coke can. And so they brought all those back. And somebody had a pizza box, some folks had been out there having a little pizza. So they brought the cardboard in and they found a piece of an old umbrella. I mean, it just went on and on. It was pretty funny, actually. And so the judges of the event came by and my boys are saying, okay, we're gonna create the rocket right here. We decided that why should we throw all this trash away when we could recycle it and use it for a rocket? It's the re-rocket. And so it got to be kind of fun. And then we really didn't know. But we had all our gaff tape, which is a black movie making tape that really, it's like 100-mile tape if you worked in NASCAR. Okay. And then here's the thing about telling a story and painting at the same time. I'm telling a story about rockets and I'm painting a picture about rockets, but I'm just letting the rooster just take whatever colors I sort of dip in here. It's kind of my same palette. I use all this palette all the time. But there we were taping cans together, and we got a string of cans about, yay big. My hands are out like I think it was probably 36 inches tall, because most of their rockets are like this tall to maybe 14 inches, not even as tall as my elbow to here. That's 18 inches. And so we were probably 30 inches, 24 to 30 inches on this rocket Coke cans. So then we found a top of a pop plastic bottle that a D engine rocket would fit right in tightly if we wound a little tape around it. We had to, everything had to be prefabbed and just rigged up a little bit. Kind of cool. So we're working on that, trying to get our act together. And I need some terracotta here. Let me see what I'm going to use for terracotta. I think I'm just going to add a little red to this brown and see if I can't just get a little mud pie look right there, like that, kind of an old terracotta pot. That's what I was after right there. And so we build this rocket. We put the engine in it. We run some wires back, and we dig out a battery. By now, kids have launched a lot of their rockets, and now what's happening is we've got a little music, some music there. I always like to work with some art music going, and the boys are saying, "Hey, what about this?" And so my son Nathan's cutting some fins out of this pizza box, and we're taping them onto the sides of the cans. And we use I find another drink bottle or water bottle, and we use it to create the nose cone on top of the cans. So we're doing. But now, people are other boys, and some of the coaches are coming over, and they're going like, "What are they doing?" We're down on a piece of mat on the ground, and we're working like, just busy, and we're all everybody's having a great time. And my boys now have figured out, oh my gosh, what we're doing is crazy. We're creating with what we have, and this would have been a good story for the book. And we are pulling people in. They're looking over our shoulders going like, "Hey, what are you doing with those Coke cans? What's that tape for? Wait a minute. We built our rocket out of a kit. Where'd you get that kit?" And my boys are going, "Out of the trash cans." Is what we've been walking around gathering up stuff. And people had some survey ribbon, and so they're putting that in there. And one of my boys is figuring out if the rocket engine comes up like this, then when it reverts over, the top should open and let down a parachute. So we found a piece of plastic and some string. So we had an hour to do this. So within 40 minutes, we've got this thing kind of mapped out. You know where this is going, right? By now, people are coming over, and you think, is there an accident over there? It's like all these people are looking in, they're poking around, they're going like, what are they doing? What are they doing? So we find a dowel stick and a launch rod. So we sort of carry it out, and the guy says, "Well, it doesn't look like one of our rocket kits, but we didn't have that in the rules that you couldn't use something like this. So let's see if this thing will fly. Is it called the trash rocket?" And we go, "Sure, that's fine." We were calling it the repurposed rocket, but if you want to call it the trash rocket, that's just great. Have at it. And so, you just, whatever they were thinking, because the judges who put this together never thought that a bunch of guys would come up with something like this. So we took it out there on the pad. And so then the orchestration came in. We brought the music along with us. And we were talking about how we would really love to bring this thing and put it in the, to heights unknown. We had the biggest engine we could have in my toolbox that I brought out there. So we're getting ready for it. And by now, 2/3 of all the kids at this event are over watching what we're getting ready to do. Because up until now, they've been worried about their own launch and all this. Anyway, you know the rest of the story, right? We do a countdown. 10, just like you heard on this. And everybody joins in. 9, and it's like 8. And so everybody's peeking in. So there were no cameras back then. There were no camera phones back then. Cell phones hadn't even been thought of back then, We're just out there. No video cameras then. Good grief. This was 90. There was a video camera that that was a little handy cam that worked a little bit. We didn't have one. Anyway, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We hit the button. and those Coke cans shot up, and they didn't go as high as their rockets, but the fact that we were lifting this trash off of the earth and it was flying up, and it flew probably, I don't know, 75, 80, 100 feet, maybe 150 feet, which was high enough for Coke cans to be off the launch pad. And then the thing started getting kind of wobbly and side-glogged, and it started going into side of a spin, you know, it loses a fin, it spins around. Next thing you know, that thing's coming down. We're going like, we told you don't get to. And man, people are hitting the deck. It hits the turf, and everybody there gave it one of those wow victory things. I tell that story today. My boys still tell that story today. The day we flew the trash rocket, and so we just built with what we had, and we had more fun. And then we realized what happened when people see you do stuff like that. They get involved. When people receive something in the mail from you, a card, a little piece of original art, a, small as a fishing fly, as large as anything you want to paint, when they get that in the mail from you, even if they buy it from you, when it comes in the mail and they frame it and they put it on their wall, they relive the story. They have something to tell. What is art? Art's a story if it's anything, and everything should be a story. Love it when that kind of stuff happens. It just makes me laugh and makes me just be excited about helping people create. So there I was, Saturday morning, standing at my, no, it was last Thursday morning. There I was, standing at the griddle, making some pancakes for round 2 of the grandkids, and this text pops up, and it's my friends from the camp who said, "We thought of you this morning. It still works great. We're launching 4 rockets at once." And so that was on my text. I just sent it over. Hey, so I'm thinking that you see what's going on with this 4th of July rocket here that I'm painting. And so if you want to do something creative with grandkids this 4th of July, and it's raining, or you can't launch fireworks in a dry desert climate anywhere, and we can't launch them in North Carolina. You can drive 15 minutes from my house and be in South Carolina. You can launch anything you want. In fact, you can launch. Hey, Carol Marcy, Marcelly, good to see you on the show. Good morning to you. You could launch anything you wanted to launch down there. You can launch a car if you get an engine big enough. So I like doing a whole series of these rockets. Maybe there's another rocket laying over here on the ground for who's next. It could be laying right here, and you can do a little round nose. These are the old rockets. Remember those? These are the rockets that we used to see pictures of in comic books, and you still see them if you watch the Roadrunner. And so you got all these rockets laying around. And I think the caption on this is going to be something really creative. And I think one I've done like this before near the 4th of July, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're telling a story. And so you're going like, well, that guy gets by with the shakiest art because he just always tells a story. But you know what? It's what journal art is all about. It really is. It's when you just have a few minutes to sketch something. Well, there's a brush that I think I'm going to have to retire. It's probably 15 years old, and it's just given up its ghost. And no, I'm not going to glue it because I have a brand new one over here just like it. There it is right there. But you hate to see one go. Every now and then you just lose one to age. It happens. Okay, there's the matchbox. There's some flowers here that get turned over. Put some dirt in here underneath this, the pots, and there's our story. So you know what he's saying to him? He's saying, okay, who thought this was a good idea? There he's just tied onto the rocket. Who thought this was a good idea? And what if he doesn't clear the field? Because there's a bull that lives in the field. So I'll come up with some sort of caption. I don't know what it'll be yet. But I want you this summer to paint some story art. Chris does that a lot with her gnomes. They'll be doing something, and they don't necessarily use words, but and Pat paints a lot of you do paint pieces that just tell the story without words, but let people look into your art a little bit and get a little bit of your personality. So for me to do do a painting with a rocket in it is only natural because I had a rocket club in my garage and we built rockets. And the first thing you have to do with kids who are building rockets is you have to say, you've done a great job building this piece of art. There it is. Just look at it. It's gorgeous. It's all ready. It's got the fins on it. It's got the nose cone. I'm holding a piece of bamboo tube here to give you an idea. And they're holding it in their hand the first time and they're looking it over. It's what you do sometimes when you paint a piece of art. And you go, look at this. I worked on this. I have sweat equity into this. I have time and energy, and I'm having a little bit of postpartum here come in. I realize that I might have to be passing this on somewhere. Well, in the rocket world, you have to have this conversation with kids that are 8 to 13, and you have to say to them, you might launch this rocket and it might go up 1,000 feet and you're going to lose visual at about 500-600 feet. It's going to be so small, you're going to lose it. And guess what? The wind might catch it and you may never see it again. Is that okay? Because, we can build another one, but you've turned it loose to have its purpose. I think the best use for a painting show like this is for me as an artist to make sure everybody's turned loose, to lose yourself in art and then turn that art loose to other people so that they might start the same thing. That's why I want you to share the page. That's why I want Roodoodles to grow. That's why I'm trying to work out toward YouTube. That's why I'm trying to work out toward Facebook and get it all worked together. My goal is to share art with as many people as possible. If we're not sharing it with each other, my friend and I had a conversation last night about Mako Fujimura, who he's going to interview him this coming fall. And I said, well, how come I'm not on that bus to go with you? And he said, well, maybe you should be. And I said, let's go. And so we're talking about what questions would you ask? And I say, first of all, I think he's probably going to start with all art becomes from creation. We're still trying to paint the sky the way God made the sky. And so Mako, that's just his whole style and how he makes his colors and what he does. But I just think it'd be kind of fun to once again, and I've had a visit with him, but just to interview and talk to him and ask him some questions about art. And listen, trust me, if that turns out, you can bet I'm going to shoot a little bit of video and we'll put it on this show in the fall. All right. So paint a story today and connect that with some story in your life and then find a place where you can turn that loose. Man, how fun is that, huh? Get the plans from Michael. Marshmallow launchers are a hoot, easy to make. I also have rocket. I've done an air rocket that we launch out of 1 liter bottles. Yeah, do you remember that? Nowadays, Jason's saying in elementary school, we used to have a balloon day where we'd attach an index card to a balloon with return address, goals to see if whose balloon went to farthest. Nowadays, they won't even let you release balloons too much because they're saying, because they kill birds. And they're like, well, not as many as airplanes do. And also, well, birds eat balloons. I'm going like, when's the last time you cut open a bird and had a balloon in it? But welcome to the country we live in, okay? Love your philosophic wonderings. Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate it. Please center better. Sorry, Susan. See there? Sometimes I don't. I just pull things way off to the side. I get in a hurry and I'm telling stories, not doing what I'm supposed to do as an artist. So thanks for hanging in there with me. June Jones says, I had a fun weekend sharing your art. Oh, my art. She couldn't draw paint. She left a couple of little paintings she did. Oh my gosh. How about that? Thank you. And you can do the same, June. You're quite an artist. So Donna Sell Barton, too. Donna, you could build a rocket out of just about anything, and you certainly could design it on paper because I know your art is like that. Wow. And they get caught up in helicopter rotors, Michelle says. Yeah, those balloons in helicopter rotors. Yeah, that's why you can't turn them loose. Last time I saw a helicopter and balloons fly together, I can't remember that, but I know your husband, Michelle's was a helicopter pilot. And I tell you, I took some helicopter rides when I was doing the film industry and also just some photographic work. And I'm still amazed that those things fly. I also did a commercial where I had to hang a guy underneath a helicopter for a film. And I got about as close as I wanted to get without flying one. We're always watching for balloons when hubby fly. That's amazing. Okay, I love it. Yeah, because I can imagine they get sucked into the rotor. And they say that a helicopter engine, the old Bell Jet Ranger engine could fit in a 5-gallon bucket. Had like 5,000 moving parts. All right, so there's a story piece of art for you. And that would have been a good story. I didn't even think of it for this right here, whatever it is. Be creative with whatever you have. See, I didn't put page numbers on here, and I didn't put an index because I didn't want to. I just wanted people to flip through it and go, oh, I'm drawn into that piece of art. See, every time I stop here, because my dad was a beekeeper, I just get excited about that. Pat did such a great job with this art. And just listen to me rattle around and then doing the art on the show. And I love it. Use what you have to be creative. And I told this story a few weeks ago when I brought the little pieces up there, and everything is fodder for a story and a rocket launch. So when David sent me the text of a rocket launch, I thought, man, it'd be fun to paint that. Okay, so that's the little book. Blessed are the flexible. And so there's Yaya right there. Actually, it could be Pat, but my wife, does Yaya Splits the Globe. And she's all over this book. If it hadn't been for my wife, Carol, I wouldn't be an artist. She's the one that pushed me to become an artist. The drawing says, make a dent and leave a hole. Make a dent and leave a hole. So here's my story for you this morning. And right here, this simple little saying I came up with one day when our kids were going to camp. But it started before that. Carol would say to our kids each morning before they were heading out the door to school, then to camp, then to college, and then into life, something like this. Make a difference. Make someone smile. Make someone laugh. Make someone's day. It is what you are called to do, she would say to them. As the kids got older, since I speak in idioms and metaphors, you're saying, really? And phrases and cliches. I found myself using this saying here as the kids were going off to camp for 2 weeks, or maybe they were serving on a mission trip or doing a project. I even started using it with a team of storytellers, and I would say, what we're called to do today is to make a dent. And then I would sort of pause. A dent means you engage with people. You be a friend. You care somehow. You serve. You walk along. You make contact. You listen. You work at the relationship. You offer truth. You maybe even buy them a cuppa. In this case, you send them a note. You send them a text. How do we finish our shows? By taking a sip in this community, by sharing something with someone. The way that people started buying my art is because the first 3 or 4 years, I just gave away little pieces of art. Carol and I went out to dinner on Saturday night to a little place only 3 miles from here. It's called Pearls, and it's an oyster bar. I don't eat them. She does, and usually, but she said, I'm going to have fish and chips. And I said, well, I'm having my regular shrimp. But when the lady came back to take the special menus for the day, they always have the regular menu, which is mile hard up. And, they've gotten rid of most of the QR codes. And they're changing it now. But she laid a piece of paper on the table that had some printed specials on it. And I said, can I have that? I want to paint on it. She said, oh, yes. She said, please, would you do that? Because I think there's a couple of yours hanging in the kitchen right now. And I went, what? She said, well, you've painted here before. And I said, yeah, every time I come here, I paint. So I have my little box of paints, and I have my little water brush with me. And so I opened it up, and I thought they need the shrimp cocktail because I just ate shrimp. So I just painted that, and I painted it. And, my pen even kind of went through the thin paper. It's tough, Michelle, to paint on receipt paper. And so I painted that. So part of that saying came to me. Right now, I'm making a dent. So I offer that, make a dent, and then as the season comes, we're only here for a season. We only get to make a dent for a season, and then life moves on. Leave a hole. And here's what that means. When you pack your bags, when you go home, when you leave camp, when you wave bye to a person in another season of your life, what difference did you make? What difference does your text make? What difference does it make when I look at my wall over here and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little cards? What difference does it make? when I send them a note after the end of this show, and I keep them up there for a while, you know what? I know what difference it makes because a lot of them send me notes and other people send me notes and thoughts. Walter sends me one every now and then, or Kenny sends me one. And so what happens is I look at that and I go, that makes a dent in my life. But when we come to that season, we also leave a hole. There's not a void. I'm not talking about homesickness, or I'm just talking about that person has made an impact so deep that I'll remember them as a friend. So, did you leave them well? Did not what that they can't do without you or can't do life without you, but that they remember what you shared, what you showed, what you care about. That's a hole. It'll be there, and they'll fill it with memories or how you put it there. It means that you made a difference in someone else, and that's a high calling. And that's what make a dent, leave a hole means. So there it is right there. So that's kind of the book. So not only is it about watercolor, it's got great art in it. And my friends who looked at this book last night, she traced these words with her hand because she loves calligraphy. And she said, I can't believe this is done by hand. And so that's the book. You can order it at roodoodles.com or you can order it at amazon.com. I'm having them shipped here. I've just shipped Pat some. I have some shipped here, and then I'll fulfill all those orders as soon as they arrive. And some of you bought the coloring book, and I'll ship those together. Thank you so much. And so it's fun to have those books out there. You know, they're just fun parts of my art. So you're going to share those with kids and grandkids, and you're going to sit down and say, you know what? I know this guy via online, and I know what he means when he says sketch like a skater on thin ice looking for a breakthrough. You don't need to sketch like you're holding on to your pencil's going to run away. So that's what the book's about. So there's about 30 of those in there for you to chew on. Prints are probably coming in October, so we're going to choose 6 of them, I think, and do some prints. All right, it's another sales pitch. Thanks for the whole, Pat says. Waiting patiently for mine. Thank you for waiting patiently. I appreciate you ordering those. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to paint one more thing this morning while I'm sitting here, and I'm going to paint it on Fabriano hot press paper. Woo-hoo-hoo. Here it is. Okay, it's 25% rag cotton, and it is hot press. You know what that means, right? It means that it is slick as the shirt that I'm wearing. It has been ironed. Most watercolor that I paint with is cold press. It feels like this piece of paper here feels like the bottom of a new Lodge skillet. I'm not a fan of Lodge skillets. I have Griswolds from the 30s and 40s. They're slick as this. I love to cook an egg on slick paper, but I paint mostly on hard, rough paper because it causes the ink or the pigment to shine a little bit. But this one causes breaks, and I love it. I'm going to do this with a fountain pen. I'm going to paint a big old Roo that's, it's time to paint him a little bit here. Haven't done one like this in a while. He's stretched out. He's ruffled up a little bit. And he's arguing with the fence post. And that's I always tell the story about this. It's like my brother. My mother would say about my brother, Charlie, you would argue with the fence post and most likely win. And so that's my brother. That's what he would do. Okay, I'm going to move this up, and then I'm going to back off on this camera just a smidge so you can see the whole thing and see if I do you a little more justice this time than I did last time. Okay, sorry. All right, so there we go. Pull a new focus line. I'm just going to use, that's all the sketch I'm going to do. And I'm going to reach over here, and I'm going to grab this pan. Look at this. This is my butcher's tray. There it is right there. Same color in here as there is in here. I've just squeezed a little bit of it in here, and I just let this sort of get messy. Every now and then you got to have a little bit of a messy tray. Now, after about 6 months or so, I'll put this in the sink with some nice detergent, and I'll clean it all out, and I'll start fresh again. In fact, let me show you what that looks like. Woo-hoo-hoo. Baby cakes. Voila. Okay, so there it is right there. This is enamel. I love mixing in this. It allows me to use these bamboo brushes by laying them down like this in the color and then maybe touching the heel of it in another color and then the tip in the final color and adding all those 3 colors to blend in my brush. So these are butcher trays. They come in 3 different sizes, I think, and you can order them. The best place is just on Amazon. Just find them and shop them a little bit, because sometimes you'll see them go for $20. I think this one was like 11. Okay, so don't throw them down on the concrete, because they will make a terrible noise, and they'll also crack the enamel. Okay, so this one, it was made by a Chinese company in an art store. I bought this one. The other one, I think I made. I'm just going to give this a little shot of light water just here, just a tad to wake it up. Spraying it with a misting bottle. And then I'm just going to go here, touch a little bit of music here. And let's see what I want to hear. I want to hear, where's my old buddy Antonio Dvorak? All right, here we go. So I'm just going to roll a little bit of water in there and just let it bleed a little bit, okay? So I'm just painting with water. Remember, use watercolor first. People who tell me they're afraid of watercolor, it's in the book. I ask them this: are you afraid of water? Are you afraid of color? Or are you just afraid of making a mistake? Yeah, and it doesn't take you long to figure out which one it is. Look how I'm holding my brush. I'm literally holding it way up here with the heel of it in my hand, and I'm just letting this just sort of wander in here like this. Man, sometimes I'm just rolling my brush around in a little bit of orange here. See that? And I'm using a JB100 brush. It's a Yasutoma brush. Ooh, which reminds me, I was going to give away a brush on Saturday, and it just blew it. Forgot completely. So let's do it right now. I'm just scrolling up and down for any of the comments that have come in right here. I'm going to give away 2 brushes right now to one person. I'm going to give you a Yasutoma 1 and a Yasutoma 3. Okay? So Yasutoma is the company. I can show you what that word looks like if I can find one of the brushes where I haven't rubbed it off already. Here we go, right here. There's Yasutoma. There's the word right there. Whoops, can't see it there. It's Yasutoma, Yasutoma. They're out of California. So here's the thing. Let me just do this. Going up and down, all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top. Any comments that have come in, just scrolling back and forth right now. Not looking at that. I'm going to swing around. Wait a minute, make sure I'm still on the right page. Scrolling. Nope, missed it. Here it is. Up, down, don't know where it is. And first name I see, I'm going to call it out. And it is... It's Tia Desjardins. There's Tia Cher Desjardins. Tia, I know who you are, Tia. You're from Maine. Oh, no, it says it right there on your thing. Tia Cher Desjardins. Tia Cher Desjardins. Tia, would you send me an email? And I would love to send you 2 brushes. Tia Cher Desjardins. Desjardins. Tia, if you're still on the show, send Roo an email, roodoodles@gmail.com, and I would love to send you this. And they'll come to you from Cheap Joe's Art in Boone. They're going to send them out. How about that? Those guys are going to fulfill the order. Yasutoma sends the brushes to those guys because they sell Yasutoma products. So that's how that's going to work today. Okay? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So congratulations. All right. Looks like I'm going to need to do that washing thing before I'm ready. I think it's about time to put a little bit of, all right, let me roll this back up here. Pop, 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 lots of pops coming in. Let's see what it is. Tia, don't forget to send me one. Congrats. Yay, Tia. I found a Yasutoma mint on the opposite end, like the one Roo carved on Amazon. Yes, Yasutoma sells all over the place. You can find them on Amazon. You can get them locally. I just gave away 2 of them. So, Tia, you're going to get the SW1 and the SW3. And it'll take a while, so don't panic. They're going to come from Cheap Joe's Art, probably shipped from Boone, North Carolina, which is their headquarters. And I'm reaching over here just in this messy pan. This Roo, I wanted this Roo to look farmyard. I wanted him to look a little disheveled, and I'll tell you why. It's because I got a plan for him. He's one of my Roos. I told you, my mom always told my brother, son, you could argue with the fence post. So this is going to be the Roo on his way to the fence post. So I think that's where this is going here. I'm just going to find some different colors in here. I'm just putzing around up in there, and it's about this is about to turn into a mud pie, and so it's about time to take it down. Maybe I'll do that before the weekend and clean it all out. It looks like it could use some help. I like this paper. You see what's happening? I'm just shaking the brush and just throwing some loose stuff around there like that. I think we need a little bit of Terry Tardy turquoise up here. Here it comes right here. See it right there? I'm just letting it bleed in, and I'm going to get some clean stuff right here. And let's put a little turquoise down in there. Man, it's looking dark today too. It's got look at this. It's just a mud pie. I don't know what color that is. So here's where I'm not as careful of cleaning out my brush before I go back in there. I just want this to blend and just really have a fun time doing it. It's sort of just like fun. Man, that's cool. Look at that orange right there. It needs to be in here. Using this brush to just let some hair come over. And he needs a little bit of, I have some green in here. How about some cool green? Just earth. He needs some earth underneath him. There it is right there. Touch of shadow in there. I think that's Payne's gray. Once I get them in there, my daughter uses 3 of these, and she has, or 4 of these, I think. She has a one that's all blues, one that's all greens, one that's all lavenders and soft colors and grays, soft grays. And what she does is she just takes a Sharpie and she writes the little name of the paint on the edge, because she's always in these same ones. Even if she washes them out, she puts that same color back in there, because people do what they do on this show. They say, oh, what color is that? And I go, I don't know. It's some color. I mean, I know what it was when it started, but I don't know what it is now. And so, like, I know this is Gamboge. I know this is three reds. It's a Hot Mama Red from Joe Miller, American Journey paint. This is Halloween Orange. This is Royal Amethyst. This is Andrews Turquoise. On this show, I call it Terry Tardy Turquoise, because Terry Tardy is in Oregon, and she's been on this show since I started this show. I found Terry Tardy at my lunch table in Orlando, Florida in January of 2020. And we didn't understand that there would be a change in life coming with COVID. We were going back. She was going back to be a potter. And then she spent time working with me as a watercolor, working with all of us online. And I think she's back to throwing some pots now, maybe doing some shows. Okay, so there's this raucous looking Roo. I'll come back in with my pen, do some. I haven't painted like this in a while. I've missed painting. I've been telling so many cotton picking stories. I forgot I'm supposed to be a painter. Off to argue with a fence post. Isn't that fun how you start hearing the music? Doop, 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 doop. All right, there it is. I like that painting. It's kind of subdued. I like what's happening here, and this will dry. Look at that swish. I just left it. Kind of like that tail feather drop down there. Cool. I like him. Thank you, Laurie. I like this one too. We are pack rats. Hey, last story here, just this morning, as this dries a little bit, I had this little bottle opener on the deck, and so last night, as I had some ribeyes laying out there in the cast iron, getting ready for dinner, my friend and his son were standing out there with me, and I was teaching his son about salt and pepper and the heat of cast iron and making sure the steaks are dry when you put them on so that they get seared in and start to brown up in that cast iron. I'm doing these all cast iron, and just had a small fire built out of apple and hickory wood, tiny little fire, and but I'm cooking these steaks. And so he said, Roo, do we get to try one? And I said, you bet. So I whipped out this knife, this one right here. Those of you might know what this is. Can you see that right there? That's the Norway star. Look at that right there. This knife is called the Hella. It's from Hella, Norway. And in 1981, some friends of mine that I worked with were going to cross the North Sea to see some relatives and family they had, the Norwegians and I told them the Vikings. You people are Vikings. They lived in Duluth, Minnesota for a long time, and I go, well, but they're heading back across the North Sea. And so they said, we would love to take some of your blacksmith work to our family. So I did them a bunch of blacksmith hooks so they could put them on wall hooks, just hand forged with a little scroll and just kind of fun little things, brushed them up, dip them in beeswax, sent them on. So when they came back, they were gone about 2 months. When they came back, they had a package for me and I unwrapped it. This was 1981. And they had this sheath and this knife. So he noticed while he was wandering around over there, they had done a braai. They had cooked a lamb on a spit, and they had some big salt legs cured and some hams. They had a bunch of food around, and these men all carried this knife dangling from their belt loop, just like so. You see it right there, dangling from my finger. And he would notice that one of them would just walk up and pull this little blocky knife, which has a hard rock maple handle, and this little stiff blade. It's really thick and stiff. And they would just cut a piece of the meat off right there and then just put the knife back in the sheath, let it dangle, and go on with their conversation. So last night, Jackson was standing there and he said, Mr. Roo, do we get a piece of that meat? And I go, to those who cooked it, to the spoils, the fruits, first fruits. And so I pulled out this knife and told that story and just cut off a little piece like that. And then I cut off about 4 little squares and slid them over. I had a big maple board laying there. And man, he goes, whoa, this is the best, right off the fire. And so it reminded me of art. Again, is found in all sorts of places. Those of you who work with leather and other things, is that not the coolest thing right there? I'm going to shove this down in there so you can see this. Hold on a second here. See if I can get this down in here so you can see this star really shine. Look at this. Let's see if look at that right there. You see that? That's the Norway star right there, carved in this, and it's been wet and it's stitched on the backside. Just craftsmanship is unbelievable. I love this knife so much that I gave one away to my friend who's a South African who, and if you look it up, it's called the Nye, Nye, from Hella, Norway. And I gave away 4 of them this year. And my boys get a knife every Christmas, and so this was their knife they got this year. They got a cleaver last year for kitchen cutting, but this was the knife they got this year. So it was really fun to send those out. And there it is. So every time I cook out on the grill or on my cast iron, that's what I use right there. All right. Okay. Hey, thanks for enjoying the book. Yeah, Kim, you're just a tad late, but we're glad you're on the show. You can watch it. I have many Norwegian friends. Ooh, they even make their own lefse. I have no idea what that is. Linda, so you'll have to tell me. All right, it's after 10 o'clock, and I am scooting off. It's time for me to get out of here, and Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Tia, roodoodles@gmail.com, roodoodles@gmail.com. Send me a note, and I'll put your name on the list, and you will receive, I promise you, a couple Yasutoma bamboo brushes in the mail. I didn't even use any of my American Journey brushes this morning. There they are. I love them dearly. But I've just gotten into this wild loose time of just letting the water flow. And these are like mops. They hold a lot of water. Thanks for being on the show today. And thanks for being a part right now. Hey, thanks for sharing my show. Would you do that? And for liking the show. It makes a difference. Take a sip. 2 people. At least text one of them right now or send them a note or make a little doodle and see if it goes to them in the mail. That'd be awesome today. Blessings to you. Thanks for always being on the show. And thanks for sharing it. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to have to turn this harmonica around and play it this way.